Hi, in the final installment of my guest lecturing on how to improve student listening, I'm going to take you to Listen Current and talk to you about the resources that we have and the supports that we offer free for teachers to help students improve their listening, and also about the listening assessment that we are developing to further help teachers focus on students' listening skills. So let me take you over to our website and share my screen with you and take you to Listen Current. So as I said before, I was previously a public radio reporter before I started Listen Current. And what Listen Current does is curate public radio stories in the areas that teachers are teaching in science, social studies, and English language arts for middle and high school. We also offer current events every day, focusing on what's in the news and what's an interesting story that students are talking about, or what's happened recently that might relate to a curriculum point in your curriculum. That's how we're choosing the daily current events. But in our English language arts, science, and social studies curriculum, we have specific lessons that are targeted toward the standards that the teachers need to teach, and all of the lessons are aligned to the Common Core in each state standard. Let me just take you into one of the collections. Let's go to social studies. You can see the content is varied because it goes all the way from ancient history to modern history. And you can see here that we also have this ELL designation, and that means these have additional English language learning supports to help those who are struggling readers or struggling learners of the English language. So we've chosen these stories, and we've chosen to go with public radio because it's such compelling, interesting, fact-checked, fact-based content that lots of students aren't necessarily exposed to in their daily lives. The stories are also really important because they are 3 to 5 minutes long, and that's about a good focusing duration for middle and high schoolers. Now, what I want to point out here is that any one of you can join for free as a teacher, and you'll be able to see the story, listen to the story, have listening comprehension questions, as well as graphic organizers. And then there are more advanced features that are in our premium paid subscription. That's for schools and districts, and we sometimes offer a teacher paid subscription as well for a class. But primarily, we want schools and districts to be focused on the listening and the values that we bring with our premium platform that includes the ability to make assignments and do more focused listening activities, as well as our upcoming assessment feature will be in that premium feature. But for now, I'm just going to log in. I'm logging in as a premium teacher, so you will be able to see everything that we have to offer. And as I said, it's very easy to join free. And for the summer, until mid-August, you'll be able to see and use all the premium features because we have a special offer going on right now called the Free Summer of Listening. All right, so here's what a typical lesson looks like. So when we want to help focus the listening, the first thing we want to do is get the teacher interested and knowledgeable about the story that they're going to play for their students. That's what this story synopsis does right up here. And then right here in our player is your ability to go directly to the story. And I'm going to play it for just a moment, and you're going to see the interactive transcript feature in action.
On a farm somewhere in the North Country, behind the heifer barn and the calf pens, there's a newish single-wide trailer. Inside, 36-year-old Diego fills a pot of water. It's 7:30 in the evening, and he's making breakfast.
Now watch what I can do.
He's making breakfast for his son Miguel. Emerges from his bedroom.
This allows you to focus in on words, hear them repeatedly, see how they're spelled, and jump anywhere in the transcript. I say, oh, they endured a harrowing journey. Interesting. I want to hear that.
He endured a harrowing journey to get here.
You can jump anywhere in the audio or in the transcript. The other thing you can do, and this is such a great support for listening, for those who struggle to stay focused or have language issues, you can slow down the audio by about 20%. Here's what it sounds like.
On a farm somewhere in the North Country, behind the heifer barn and the calf pens, there's a newish single-wide trailer.
So slowing the audio helps students whose listening comprehension increases when they hear the content at a slower pace. And I want you to notice that it still follows along with the transcript. And the transcript allows students to follow along, stop, and hear a word again. See the spelling of the words as they're read. And it progresses in sync with the audio and highlights the words as they're read. Now, the other thing in terms of helping students focus and follow along are these graphic organizers. This one we have offered. This is part of the free version. Anyone can get this for free. It's a language identification worksheet, and it allows students to tick off the boxes. You can print this out and hand it around every time they hear a phrase so that they don't feel lost while listening to a story. Or if their mind wanders, they can bring it back and tick off one of these boxes as they catch up to where the story is. It's another great way to focus the listening. I spoke earlier too about another techniques around listening, metacognitive listening strategies, and one of them was also directing your attention, focusing, and to helping students do that. To help students do that is this great graphic organizer around T-charts. So setting up a goal for the listening to say, there are several perspectives in this story. This is a story about immigrants who work on a dairy farm in northern New York and the people who they work for, and they have different perspectives on immigration. You're going to use this T-chart as you listen to track the different perspectives. There are many other elements to this lesson that are focused more on content and language development. I'm not going to go deeply into them, but I will show you the tiered vocabulary because I feel like listening to academic language is much harder for students. This is a high level of language for them to be listening to. So it would be a good idea to know and learn the meaning of these unknown words as they get this incidental exposure to them when listening. And the vocabulary, as we know, is critical for educational success, and academic vocabulary is really important to academic success. So helping students with these words before the listening is important too. And then when what these listening comprehension questions allow you to do is just assess how well did your students understand the story. And these are built on Bloom's taxonomy, so they get broader and as they go up the scale. And you can also assign them with this button, and a quick 5-step process then allows you to assign all these elements of the lesson that I'm showing to you now. But you can also, again, print them out, and they are part of the free version, and have your students write short answer questions to them, or potentially have a discussion in class. It's all about eliciting how well did they listen to the story. Also down here, we have a speaker's guide. Again, helping students focus on how many people are in this story. What are they saying? What's their perspective? You can use this speaker's guide. Below here are the instructional support strategies that we suggest you use to set up and activate student knowledge. Again, setting the right frame of mind for listening, directing their attention, planning, and problem solving. These are how you're going to do it, by activating student knowledge, introducing the story, selecting the right worksheets, the T-chart or the language identification. Then we have more focus on close listening and language practice. The language practice is really focused on English language learners, but I do want to spend a moment on the close listening guide. I'm sure all of you are familiar with close reading, and there's been a lot of research and focus on that and how that helps improve student literacy. But the same can be said for close listening. So in every story, we break down what a teacher should be doing in the first listen with their students, the second listen, and the third listen. Now, you don't need to listen all those times, and you may be thinking, well, why do we have to listen 3 times? Shouldn't we just get it the first time? And the answer is no. If you're training to be good listeners, it's okay to practice. You are practicing the listening, and you can tell them in the first listen, we are practicing to just listen to the main idea, conflict of the story. Just so that practice is going to make them focus on different elements of the story. And I just want to point out here a lesson plan that focuses more on the social studies aspect of the story. What are the modern push and pull factors that influence immigration in the US today versus what happened in the early part of the century? So those are some of the main elements of this story that can be used to focus your listening and practice listening in the classroom. But one thing teachers told us over and over again is that they wanted a really simple way to do it quickly. And they wanted to be able to administer it and focus in on all the elements, the key elements of listening. So we are in the process of developing a listening assessment right now. There are about 15 standardized listening comprehension tests, but none test all the complexities of listening as we're proposing to do, and none are fully administered online. Many of them ask a teacher to read a passage and then have the students answer questions, which, as you can imagine, can have a lot of variety in the quality of the reading and the sound in the room and how it's read. What we're doing will be standardizing these listening tests around the story so that you would come into a story such as this one about Animal Farm and satire, listen to it fully, the same, everybody would be hearing the exact same story, and they could listen to it multiple times as well, and then they would be answering 4 to 5 multiple choice quiz. And what we're going to be focusing on are the complexities of listening that we've outlined to be critical to literacy. And those include main point. What is the main point of this story? Recalling some specific detail of the story, understanding vocabulary in the story, and also being able to make inferences based on the story. And there are also in some quizzes, we will also test story structure and also opinion, getting back to that discriminative listening, being able to ascertain a person's point of view, and not discriminative, excuse me, critical listening, and being able to ascertain a person's point of view. And then a teacher will be able to assign a student a quiz. They listen, they answer online, and they immediately get their answers and their reporting feedback, as does the teacher. Now, I wish I could show you all this right now, but it is in development on our website, and we're working with a cognitive scientist who's an expert on listening and reading comprehension, and an expert on listening, and experts on assessments to pull it all together and make a really exciting tool that will focus on the other important element of literacy, which is listening. So that'll be coming out in the fall in pilot form, and we'll hope to have it developed by the end of this calendar year and out in the market. So until then, I hope that you'll come to Listen Current and use us as a resource to practice your listening skills with good 3 to 5 minute public radio stories, and use them with your students as well, because I think you'll find a lot of interesting things here that will help you become a better listener. So I hope I've shared with you some research and tips to help you help your students improve their listening skills. So I'm going to say goodbye and thank you very much for listening. I'm testing this to see if when I turn off my camera and I go to the share my screen, that I can show. I'm testing this to see if when I turn off my camera and I go to the share my screen, that I can show